Hey yo, peep this.
Yeah. This is how we like to do it.
God's gift from above the skies.
No lie.
Tune into the buzz while you get high.
The hitter, spread some wisdom so you can relate on topics of every kind to elevate your mind.
Listen, Mary Jane is not a drug. There's so much love in every nug.
New strains, they'll be the judge and see what it does. It's between the buds.
Watch this. Well. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Joe Derrick. I'm happy to have a very, very, very special guest. Thank you for tuning in to another awesome show of ours. We like to continue to try to educate people on a weekly basis by providing either, thoughtful and impactful stories from people themselves about how they use this plant, cannabis, or we even talking to, other powerful, impactful voices in the industry. And I'm very happy to have a very active and outspoken person involved in this Ohio cannabis industry. Bill DeMora, I genuinely thank you for taking the time to come on the platform and allow me to speak with you about a few things and actually even talk to you about yourself, because I think people should know more about you as well, because you're very active in the cannabis community and very helpful to a resource to try to help us, as a community and people do the right thing and get things situated the way we all agree or want. So I'll let you further introduce yourself briefly, and then we can further go on.
Well, thanks. My name is Bill DeMora. I'm the State Senator for the 25th District, which is short north, Ohio State's campus of Arlington, Grandview, West Side, Hilltop, Northland, Harter, Clintonville. So I was elected in 2022, so I'm in my third year in office in the Senate. I run again next year for re-election. And before that, I was just a Democratic political hack, for lack of better words.
Solid. Well, so where were you born and raised, guys?
So I was born in Euclid, Ohio, suburb of Cleveland. My both my parents taught high school. My father taught at Euclid High School for 30 years. He met my mother as a student teacher when she was there, a student teacher. Then after my mother had two kids, she went to Pepper Pike Orange. My dad was also a councilman in my hometown for 20 years, so that's how I kind of got the political bug.
Oh, okay. So that kind of leads to my next question. So you said your dad was on council.
Yeah.
That's exactly where you kind of had that childhood experience.
I did. I walked my first precinct for him when I was 5 years old, hoping him get elected. And then I got the bug. I've always been interested in politics. Now my brother, born in the same house, just 2 years younger than me, doesn't have anything to do with politics. I don't even think he votes out in California, but I got the bug and I've been interested in politics. I've been working in politics my entire life.
Awesome. That's pretty huge. And that's very impactful. That shows like how your experience, or just your what's the word I'm looking for?
Nature,
nurture. Yeah, exactly.
Right, absolutely. Yes.
That's real. It can actually, impact,
it does. It does.
And before I go a little bit further though, before we talk more about your time, as you develop your time serving as people of Ohio and just being a public servant, can we get how about the Buckeyes?
Absolutely. Right, the national champs. Football starts in basically, I think it's 6 weeks.
Oh, I know, right?
First home game against Texas. They want revenge for us beating them in the semifinal, but we're playing them at home. I think we're going to kick their butts. I'm looking forward to it. Listen, I love Ohio State football, and I can't wait for it to start again. I don't want summer to end right now, but I can't wait. Ohio.
That's awesome. Definitely, I want to make sure you give the Buckeyes their praises, because that was just one hell of a year and season.
It was. And since I represent Ohio State in the Senate and I'm an alumni, it has double the meaning.
Absolutely. I mean, and just like, they fought hard and worked hard every day, you do the same for your roles.
I try to do my best. Absolutely.
In what ways would you say, you like, what led you to becoming an adult advocate, I guess, for others? I know you had that childhood experience, to what kept you going or motivated to be like?
You mean to be in public office?
Yeah.
I mean, I've always, when I was in college, I worked as a page in the State House for then Senator Lee Fisher, who became Attorney General, then Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah.
I was president of College Democrats, Ohio State. I was president of Young Democrats. After that, I worked for the state party for nearly 30 years in one capacity or the other. This is something that I'm good at, that I enjoy doing, and I love meeting the people involved. I mean, I drive around the state, I go around the country, meet people, and you can never have too many friends or too many acquaintances.
Yeah.
And it just, again, if you like what you do, you never work a day in your life. That's the old adage. And I never thought I'd be elected to public office. It was kind of a fluke. I got elected back when the districts were in court and no one knew who was running for what. And the U.S. Supreme Court drew a district and there was nobody running in it for the Democratic Party. And so I'm the petition guy. I went and got signatures, got on the ballot. And here I am.
Awesome. So, and then, like, when you were in college, that part of those actions you kind of were mentioning, is that how you were involved with the young, became the president for the Ohio State Democrats?
Yeah, I mean,
College.
I came in and was interested because, again, I've been doing politics in high school and everything. And the president was there at the time. I kept bugging him. I said, hey, what can I do? When's the next meeting? This and that. And he said, I'll tell you what, you have more energy than I do, so I'm going to let you be president. So I became president my first quarter in college and was president until the last quarter I graduated. So that's kind of what happened. And again, I was working in the State House, so I had a base of people that I could rope into coming and attending meetings. And then back in those days, every statewide elected official was a Democrat. And Governor Celeste and Attorney General Celebrezzi and Ferguson was state auditor, Mary Whitfield was state treasurer, Sherrod Brown was Secretary of State. And the House was Democratic from right for speaker. And so there are a lot of people who come in. I had people come in and speak all the time at our meetings. We had good meetings and just kind of took off from there.
Awesome. That's kind of it's awesome to always see how your efforts in beginning point leads to much further development.
Sometimes it works out that way, doesn't it?
Nah, for sure. So what about your experience working on a presidential campaign? You want to share about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, I've been in charge of the delegate selection in the National Convention each of the last 8 conventions. Since the 96 convention in Chicago, I've been in charge of that for the State Democratic Party. And I worked, I was a youth and volunteer coordinator for Bill Clinton in 1992. And I love working for Clinton Gore. And then I just kind of worked for the party after that. And again, being in charge of delegate selection and convention is a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's just, it's frustrating that, we didn't win and now we have this idiot in the White House who's running the country, but I don't want to get into that. This is a different podcast, so we won't.
No, you're good. No worries. But I understand, man. It's speaking of that though, like, I think it's important for people to realize how still your local politics, knowing those is important. That's as important as knowing your nationals, but maybe it's not important. Actually, yeah.
I mean, the state legislature controls every bit of your life. Everything that you do is one way or another controlled by the state legislature. So, and enough people don't pay attention. Most people don't know who the state legislators are. I mean, they know who the mayor is. They might know who the U.S. senator is. They probably know who the president is, especially the orchard menace we have in there now. But most people have no idea who the state legislator is. And the state legislature, I mean, just the budget we just passed 2 weeks ago, controls a lot of things. How much property tax you're going to pay, to how much income tax you're going to pay, to how much your local schools will get funded. Everything has to do with state government, and not enough people pay attention to it. And that's why state government kind of gets away with things they shouldn't be able to get away with because people just don't care.
See that, and that's well said. I appreciate you for touching on that because people kind of tend to let local government slide and focus on the other media and get distracted when, like you said, you need to know who your local state legislator is, who's controlling your actual local life and live everyday life. And you can actually maybe make an impact by being able to be informed, or if you're informed, you can spread that to others and just keep it going around, because that's definitely what's needed amongst the community, everywhere. And that kind of like leads me to the next kind of subject as far as being a community. There's an Ohio developing cannabis community, and part of what I've learned from myself. I just used to be a bud tender myself, and I still work in the industry, but I've just learned that everyone has their different relationship or even experiences with cannabis, and so it's kind of very unique. But this one plant kind of helps so many people in different ways, and more and more as these rules and business, companies are starting to become funded or formed. We're starting to see like, hey, this is actually a real thing. The government is actually receiving money, taxes, and everything from these businesses. What would you say, or what would you advise for people that are in this new developing community? How would you advise them to convince the lawmakers that this is a normal industry, or it should be treated like a normal business?
Yeah, I mean, right now, cannabis industry is looked at as a sin. It's looked down on by most of the people, the General Assembly, the majority, who don't think that Ohioans actually voted to legalize it the way they wanted it. They think the legislature knows. The Republicans, the majority of the legislature, majority party, thinks they know better than the voters. And you've seen since issue 2 passed, they've done everything they can to impose their will and not listen to the will of the voters, but they actually voted for it. And again, the leadership of both the House and the Senate, the Republican leadership, don't like marijuana. And the governor doesn't like marijuana. And they think that there's not enough people paying attention, so they're going to ignore what the voters voted. 57% of the voters, so it's 57-43, that's a 14-point margin. That's a landslide in any election. I guarantee you ask any candidate for office, and they'll tell you, if you guarantee them a 57-43 victory, they'll take it and they'll have a party that minute.
Yeah.
And they want to ignore that by subjugating their own thoughts on it into what the will of the people said. And unfortunately, for issue 2, it was an initiated statute and not a constitutional amendment. So basically, this year's statute, which was passed, can be changed by the state legislature anytime they want to change it, and they can do whatever they want. Whereas a constitutional amendment, like issue 1 was the same year about women's reproductive rights, it's a constitutional amendment. The legislature can't touch that. That's the law of the land.
So during the same time we voted for issue 1 and issue 2, the issue 1 is actually was more in the form of it's the law. Where
it's in the Constitution, so the legislature makes laws. Only the voters can change the Constitution. So no matter, this legislature hates women's reproductive rights, but they can't do anything about it right now because it's in the Constitution and people voted on it.
Yeah.
The only way to get rid of it is to have another constitutional amendment to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Unlike issue 2, which is a statute, which means even though it was passed, the legislature could do anything they want with it because there was no set time limit. The bill that the Senate passed didn't take into account what the voters voted on. It wants to cut the percentage of THC. It wants to cut the number of plants. It wants to get rid of the money where it was going to. The voters wanted 36% of the tax revenue to go back to the local communities and host dispensaries. They wanted money to go to social welfare. They wanted money to go to hotlines and stuff. The state wants all the money to go to the general revenue fund so they can pass tax breaks for the wealthy. So that's where the bill that the Senate passed. Of course, I voted no, as did every Democrat voted no on it. But they can do whatever they want because it's their prerogative because of the state statute.
Yeah.
So hopefully, and as we said earlier, people need to call their state reps, state senators, and say, hey, listen, we voted for issue 2. We don't want you to make wholesale changes to it. Because that's what we voted for. We knew what we were voting for. I mean, the Senate president, who's now Speaker of the House, said voters didn't know what they were voting for, so we're going to change it the way we want to. That's how little he thinks of the voters of Ohio, even though 30 of the 33 Senate districts passed the measure. So, again, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And it's almost like I don't think people realize that there's more potential chances of other people trying to continue to change it. And that's what's kind of unfortunate, because just even with this prior sub bill we were, working on, trying to work to defeat that, like, the fight isn't over in a sense, because there's more people, I think, that.
The fight really is right now. The House has a bill. I mean, the Senate passed a horrible marijuana bill, and then passed a hemp bill separately that did a lot of good things, but not everything that the hemp industry wanted, not everything that I wanted. But I still voted for it because it was better than nothing. And they made some concessions on the hemp bill. Right now, the House has it all combined into one big bill, and they have not been enough votes to pass it because there are more more Republicans in the House that like marijuana than are marijuana advocates. And the Senate had 0 Republican marijuana advocates. So it passed along partisan lines in the Senate. The House has had trouble passing it, and they couldn't pass out of committee before we left for the summer recess, which is a good thing. Now, the House bill did allow the 36% to go back to the local communities in perpetuity. The Senate bill said only 20%, and it's only for 7 years. So just there alone, the fact that the House, if they pass what they have now, even though they can't, would still give local communities the money that the voters passed and said they wanted local communities to have, which is huge, because the reason these communities are allowing dispensaries is because they want the local revenue money to pay for police and fire and garbage and roads. And if they don't get the money, they have no desire to let dispensaries come into their towns. And right now we only have about 130, 140 dispensaries. We go up to 350 or 400, depending on which part of the bill, which bill you're looking at. We need more dispensaries so we can make marijuana more accessible to Ohioans. And we need the ability to have the growers grow more, because right now there's not enough supply in Ohio to supply the demand, and people go to that state up north, which state I will not say, being a Buckeye fan, and the price is so much cheaper there because we don't have enough marijuana, enough dispensaries to sell the marijuana we have.
Yeah, no, see, now that's Will said. You touched on a lot of key points, but one keyword that I wanted to definitely touch on, and I believe it's very big, and it's part of my, I got this 3 big A's I like to say. It's awareness, accessibility, and affordability. Those are kind of our biggest struggles, in my opinion, with this cannabis issue in Ohio right now. Awareness is huge because, we can't really market, but
which is a problem too. The fact that alcohol can market and marijuana can't is ludicrous. Again, it's because the majority party thinks that, I don't know why they don't. I mean, it's ridiculous that marijuana can't put up billboards or do radio ads just like alcohol can, or TV ads, because I think it's going to somehow influence children. I don't know what their thought is, because I don't think like one of them, so I don't know. But it's ludicrous. And again, it's a product. It's a legal product in Ohio. Now, again, federally it's not. Maybe that's the issue, because TV and radio stations are regulated by the federal government, and so it's not a legal product federally, so maybe that's part of the reason. I don't know, but there's nothing that says putting a billboard on a bus stop or having a poster or something is going to somehow influence people. People want to think cannabis.
Right. Oh, my child used cannabis for seeing the sign.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Did they even know what that was?
Now, they can't market to children. I mean, listen, alcohol can't market to children. And one of the problems we're having with some of the hemp products that are accessible at any gas station and corner drugstore is that they're not really all hemp. There's no
testing.
There's no testing. Marijuana has to be tested. Every drop of everything that goes in a marijuana product is regulated, tested, and has to be printed out so the buyer knows exactly what's in it.
Where it comes from.
Some of these places that are selling gas stations and 7-Elevens and drugstores and stuff, it's not regulated. No one knows what's in it. It comes from foreign countries. No one knows what's been put into it. And it's making kids sick. And it's marketed to kids like Skittles or Nerds.
In the flavors,
The flavors. And so that's the stuff. I actually have a bill right now that LSC is working on, so I can introduce it, to ban those products from being sold, to make them have to be at least 21 to buy them, to have regulation of what's all in them, and no longer be marketed to children. So I think everybody can agree, even the hemp people don't want this stuff on. All the hemp people came to my office and talked to me, said, we want to be regulated. We don't want the stuff at the corner drugstore and corner gas station to be sold, because there is no regulation, and that's actually hurting our market, because we have the hemp producers, and marijuana obviously is regulated to the drop of everything, to the teeth. But the hemp right now is not regulated at all. It's a federally legal product, so it's allowable. But these people are taking that and again, they're trying to skirt the law by producing stuff that's geared toward children that looks like candy that nobody knows what's in it. No one knows what's in it. They have all kind of illegal pesticides and chemicals and those things.
Yeah.
And it's making kids sick. And that stuff we have to stop because everybody wants that stuff stopped. So, and this bill, unfortunately, our marijuana bills and hemp bills have been so comprehensive and so large that it's tough to get consensus on them. This is just one piece of the hemp bill that I think everybody agrees on to get the bad stuff that's coming from China and other places off the market, get it regulated so that it's safe and so that people that are over 21 can enjoy it if they want to. But again, if they know what's in it before they buy it.
100%. And I think you said it best. Like the hemp and cannabis industry, honestly, when you get educated and you learn, there's same play, different spectrums, but there's such a complex of understanding out there right now that they got almost both sides going against each other. And I wish, like you said, that the hemp folks could get tested and regulated too, and then together both sides could help educate the community and society to realize, hey, the importance of not only education, self-education and awareness, but why they should have the accessibility to all of that and affordable accessibility to prevent people from going up north and to keep our economy and business alive and actually to keep that what the people voted for floating, because why not have a thriving economy or a business for the cannabis community, which is what the voters want to see, rather than suffocate it and not let it thrive the way it should be. Our state is much bigger and more equipped to do better.
Well, right now, the Cannabis Control Commission is a model across the country. Everybody talks to me about it. The rules they're putting in there are good rules, and everybody thinks that Jim Canepa and his people are doing a good job. Right? I mean, our market is the envy of how we've done it without any guidance from the state legislature, because we can't decide on anything. And the fact that we have a marijuana industry that, again, and it still is infancy, but it still has some tweaks we need to do with it. But again, our regulations are in place that I think people can agree that if we allow stuff to take place, if the state legislature gets out of the way of it, it can thrive. And again, it's mind-boggling to me that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, who all want to be pro-business and limited government, are trying to regulate a business and an industry that's providing jobs that people voted for, that people want, but they don't. It's a business. If this was a gun manufacturer, they let anything in the world happen. Right. But being marijuana, they want to regulate it to the hilt, and they want to stifle the market and stifle growth, which is mind-boggling to me, because again, this has the potential of creating more jobs, of putting more product to lower the cost on everyday Ohioans. The fact that medical uses have been proven to help, and providing tax revenue that actually helps local communities and the state.
Yep.
If it's regulated properly and run properly, all those things occur. And again, alcohol is regulated, and why haven't we regulated this the way we need to regulate it? And every study I've shown that these hemp beverages are more, the people are starting to use those more and starting to drink alcohol less.
Right.
So, excuse me. So, again, we need to get a handle on this, because we're losing millions and millions of dollars every year to that state up north. Because I know people that every month, a collective of friends that I know, pools their money and someone drives the state up north and buys product because it's so cheap, it's so readily available. They drive the 3 hours up to their favorite spots north of the border, and they buy.
Do a marathon.
That's right. They buy the product for themselves for the month.
Yep.
And then they come and enjoy it. And that money should be spent in Ohio, and there's no reason it can't be, but except the state legislature won't get out of the way.
Exactly, and you touched on again a lot of great things. The point that a few points I wanted to talk about, but one is the fact that the economy and jobs, people. I've seen people become homeowners and just the cannabis industry is creating actual, careers and life-changing opportunities for people. So it's like it's doing just as it does for other businesses. So like, why can't we just respect that and appreciate that and embrace it and let it keep growing and thriving? And let it be able to grow the tax dollars and go to right.
Well, one of the things, unfortunately, the legislature was killed with the social equity programs that the people voted on. That program, the level 3 licenses that were supposed to go to people that are affected by the archaic marijuana laws we had in the past.
Right.
They were supposed to be given the opportunity to now own a small business to do this, but that never came about. The state never started. The ballot issue said that by the spring of 2024, that the Department of Development was supposed to have issue 3 applications ready and available for people to apply for them. Well, they never did. I was on the Director of Development case for the last 8 months saying, where are the stuff? The voters passed it. This is supposed to be done, but they ignored it because they knew the Republican legislature and the governor didn't want it.
Right.
So they just didn't even start. They were supposed to do what the law said that was passed. So we're not going to have any level 3 licenses. I mean, as I told the convention of folks yesterday on a panel, I said, forget the social equity. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen with the current members of the legislature the way they are.
Yep.
Because the letters D, E, and I are the 3 most hated letters in the alphabet, according to the people, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. They're ripping it out of education, out of everything else. There's no way we're going to get these social equity programs back, and there's no way that these people that deserve these licenses are going to get them. So it's time to move on and pick another fight and fight for things that we actually could get.
Yep.
That's not going to be one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say that, but that's unfortunately going to be the truth.
No, I mean, I appreciate the honest truth, and that's well said, because if you clearly look at it, there's like you said, there was supposed to be a foundation set up, and then it kind of just never happened. And that if they wanted it to happen, it would have. But sadly, again, they found ways to let things just phase away or make it go in their controlled way of making it disappear. But we, the people, have to keep fighting, using our voices, and being strategic to actually make sure they're aware and understand that we want what we want, and we're informed on what we voted for. There's nothing like being an informed cannabis consumer or even voter. So I think.
Well, they have to be both. I'm sorry if you, and I'll say this is not a detriment to somebody, but if you don't vote, then your opinion doesn't matter.
Right.
I mean, no one cares if you can have the opinion and you can be the smartest person in the world, but if you don't vote, your opinion doesn't matter to anybody, including myself. Because if you don't vote, well, I mean, again. Not voting, I mean, it's your civic duty to vote.
Yeah.
And if you don't vote, you're hurting yourself,
yeah,
and you're not helping anybody that you care about or your community, because, again, I mean, most of my colleagues don't even care about the people that vote. I mean, but you can't care about people that don't vote. Right. It's not realistic. And as you know, you've been to my office. I meet with anybody that wants to meet with me.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Most of my colleagues don't. And but so if the people's not going to meet with you at their office, go, if they have community hours in their district, go visit them and talk about this. Otherwise, send emails, send letters, call them, and if you see them at the grocery store, ask them about this stuff. I mean, don't do it rudely, don't scare them, but be respectful, but talk to them about your concerns. And again, every 2 years you vote for your state representative, and every 4 years you vote for your state senator, and if the voters speak and enough people want something changed, then the voters decide who gets elected to these positions. But again, if you don't vote, you get no say in the matter. As far as I'm concerned, you're just wasting the opportunity to actually have your input about issues you care about be heard.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, and that's so true. I appreciate you for expressing that importance of voting no matter what, because like you said, you can't talk crap about anything if you don't use your number one source of being able to use your voice and ask. It may be it's a different perspective, but you're using your voice by voting. So it's very important to do so and learn reasons why you should vote locally and nationally. Appreciate that. And may I ask, what started your advocacy to cannabis?
Well, honestly, me being elected office, I mean, before I was doing campaigns and stuff. I mean, issues are issues. You just whatever's good at the time, you just concentrate on.
Yeah.
But when I got elected to the Senate, I was put on when I was a ranking member of the committee that heard, for my first 4 months in office, we heard 75 plus witnesses about marijuana and the bill that was horrible, and the whole industry hated it. And I actually listen to witnesses. I actually read the stuff they give. They testify on. They came to my office. I met with, dozens and dozens of people, and I listened to them. And I became convinced that there's nothing wrong with cannabis. And then, of course, my district, the vote for issue 2 was, I got elected with 75% of the vote. Yeah. Cannabis got more votes than I did. So that means there's an overwhelming majority of people, almost 80% of the people in my district voted for issue 2, which means that my constituents want it, which means my job is to fight for what they want. So it was easy for me. Again, I admit I've never smoked it. I've never taken a marijuana product because I got enough vices as there is. Yeah. And this came about, my friends did it. It's fine with me. I just didn't have, growing up, both parents, teachers, back in the day. Right. But I've never smoked a cigarette or cigar either, so it's got nothing to do with this marijuana, so I don't smoke anything. Right. The drinking, the gambling, I have to admit that I've done plenty of in my life, but not smoking or marijuana. But because I was elected and I listened to people, and I went and educated myself on the facts. Yep. And then again, when my district so overwhelmingly passed, it's my job to represent my district, so it's a no-brainer for me. And that's the thing. My colleagues, again, this passed in 30 of the 33 Senate districts. Yep. So you figure if you're going to do what your constituents want, there should be a no-brainer. It should pass easily, and what the marijuana industry and what the people voted for. But that's not the way, because again, people, my colleagues don't really care what the voters said when it comes to marijuana. Right. They listen to their leadership, and that's a problem.
And that is a problem, because that also is the reason why I think the state of Ohio, and just maybe the cannabis industry itself, lacks a lot of education. That's one of the biggest parts and perspectives of using any form of substance. You should be educated on what you're getting and why. And I think we could definitely use more of that and just support of that. But another point you kind of mentioned earlier was about cannabis and guns, or you kind of touched just on guns briefly. But I got a question on that, in the sense of, you can be a legal gun holder and drink alcohol as long as you're of age. But in a lot of ways, I'm hearing they frown upon you being a medical cannabis user and owning your gun license. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm shocked. Ohio guns have more rights than people do, especially women in Ohio. So I'm shocked that the majority of the legislature, who are bought and paid for by the NRA and the gun owners, would want to deny anybody their right to own a gun. But you're right. Again, if you're smoking marijuana, you probably shouldn't have a loaded gun by your head. It shouldn't be accessible. That's just common sense. Right. I'm one of the people that believe that if you have children in the house, the gun ought to be in a lockbox all the time. And you can, to defend yourself, you can get the gun, but it's not there for your kids to use it. Again, you don't get in a car after you've been drinking all night, because that's illegal and you can kill people that way. The same with guns. If you're smoking marijuana all day, you probably shouldn't have a loaded gun by you. Again, it's just common sense, but there's no reason why someone who is a medical marijuana patient who's doing it to help themselves and get healthy shouldn't be able to own a gun too. I don't see the difference. Again, I have several hundred bottles of bourbon in my house because I collect bourbon, and I'm not have a gun. And just because I had 5 or 6 joints of medical marijuana means I can't get a gun. I think it's ludicrous. Yeah. And for me, as a liberal Democrat, to be defending gun ownership is kind of flip-flop. Yeah. But again, there shouldn't be any discrimination between marijuana and alcohol. Again, gun ownership, I want responsible gun ownership, no matter if you have marijuana or not, whether you drink alcohol or not, whether you have kids or not. I don't believe we gotta have AK-47 assault weapons. I don't think you do anything with those but kill people. You certainly can't hunt with them. I've got no problem with people owning guns to hunt, people owning handguns. I have relatives that own them, but I believe that it should be stored safely. I don't believe that you ought to be able to have bump stocks and to make something that's manual, automatic. Right. I don't believe you ought to be able to have killer bullets.
Right.
Those are common sense things, actually. And I don't think you ought to have a gun if you have mental issues, because it's been proven that, I mean, if you have mental capacities and stuff, you shouldn't have, and probably not use best judgment to have a gun around the house.
Right.
But those are common sense measures. But smoking marijuana is not something that disqualifies you for owning a gun. I mean, I don't understand the correlation between them. When again, you drink 5-6 drinks of alcohol, and it doesn't deny you from having a gun. So what's smoking a joint? There shouldn't be the difference.
Well said. Now, a key point you mentioned, something I kind of want to talk about. At least another thing is another topic, like responsibility. That's a big word, and I feel like with cannabis, just like other things, you obviously you want to keep away, like alcohol and all that, and other substances. You want to keep away from children, but I mean, I could be wrong, and someone can fact check me, but I was looking and I heard that alcohol doesn't require too much of a child-proof or child-resistant measure. But cannabis, they're really, really strict about that for our products, and I get it, but I feel like either they should be both responsibly handled and kept away from a child.
Listen, I mean, the statute of limitations is long gone. Back when we were kids, if the parents were gone and we went to someone's house and we snuck in the liquor cabinet and drank when we were, 10, 11, 12 years old. I mean, I'm Italian, so alcohol was one of those things that was such taboo, because as Italian, every Sunday when we had family spaghetti dinner, I had a glass of wine. I mean, and that's just my tradition. That's just my upbringing, and I didn't know that everybody didn't do that.
Right.
Because I mean, my whole Italian family, every dinner we had, there was always wine.
Yep.
And it's not like I drank a bottle of it, but
right.
I would have a little glass. Everybody did. I mean, 5, 6 years old, because that's family tradition in Europe. There's no laws. I mean, It's all common. The fact of the matter is that, again, being responsible. My parents were letting me drink a bottle of wine when I was 6, 7 years old.
Yes.
But again, because they were teachers, they realized that if you make something and make it taboo, and you make it that you never can be around it, then as a child and as a young person, you automatically want to find out what that thing is that you can't have, that's so taboo, that's so off limits, because you want to experience it, you want to try it, because if my parents can have it, obviously I want to know what it is.
Yeah.
And that's just human nature. So by again, you can't let your 6-year-old smoke a joint.
Right.
I don't think medically that's a good idea. A little sip of wine, probably more back when I was a kid in the 70s.
Yeah.
I don't think there had any studies on this stuff that said a little bit of wine was good for you. Now studies say it's probably not, and you certainly shouldn't drink while you're pregnant.
Right.
But again, now that science come where it is, I wouldn't recommend any child smoking marijuana. And legally, as a child, you can't drink alcohol.
Right.
But again, there are different stigmatisms.
Correct.
I mean, it's just a stigmatism against marijuana, and somehow the people that smoke it, I mean, everybody thinks about the 60s and Woodstock and all the hippies, and they have this negative connotation about marijuana that was alcohol. Sophisticated people drank alcohol, and again, family traditions with wine, not just Italians, but whether it was Greek or, I don't know, a German person that didn't have beer.
Right.
Had their kids have beer because that's the way the traditions are. So it's just a stigmatism, and the marijuana industry needs to combat that, but you really can't combat that if you can't advertise. Correct. So it's a conundrum, and it takes more education. It's going to take, again, I think today's college students and high school students, with the internet, they can learn everything about it at the touch of a phone.
Yep.
I think the stigmatism is going to go away at some point. But when I grew up, there was this thing as a computer. We had a phone that we had to turn a dial on a wall. Okay, so I mean, our education came from the encyclopedias. The 20 books that I had as a kid, and everybody had. Right. That's how you learn things. There was no internet. There were no computers. There were no phones, cell phones. So if you watched, we had 4 TV stations, and we had the encyclopedias, and we had the daily paper. That's how we learned things.
Learned everything. Yeah.
Nowadays, instantaneously, you look at anything you want on a phone. So it's different now. I think that stigmatism will go away as the younger generations get older and marijuana has been legal, more informed. But, unfortunately, most of our legislators are older than me. I'm 58. Most of our legislators are older than I am. And they have this negative connotation. And again, like I said, they just don't understand it. And I think it's wrong.
Nah, I appreciate that. And that you touched on another good point. I got a couple more questions.
I've got a lot of good points. I mean,
No, you're on fire, I swear. Because you're actually helping me go down my, what I was going to ask after each conversation, which is awesome. But a couple more points I just want to cover and talk about. So you mentioned just the younger generation eventually finally going to be the ones that help change the outlook, which I agree for sure. But I also think it takes people like just us as human beings coming together, voicing our sharing and voicing our stories, our experiences to also help change the outlook on this planet. Speaking of, I'd like to give a copy of this book to you and shout out to other authors and Dr. Bridget. Encouraging Cannabis is a book that I don't know if you've seen it yet or heard about it.
I'm not.
It's a book. My story's in there right there. I got a bookmark for you, but there's other cool authors in there and other business folks that have either personally used cannabis and have gained a better quality of life, or that someone that they love, a close one, that has
listen, I had a friend that had cancer and marijuana, but kept them being able to eat and stuff. It's been proven medically that marijuana is a benefit for lots of people who have certain illnesses and certain diseases. And again, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know. It's just a lack of education. It's lack of education. It's lack of.
Yep.
And a lot of my colleagues, I like them personally, but they don't spend the time learning about. And it's tough. There are so many issues come before legislators, and I don't know everything about everything. Right. I the ones that come before the committees I've been on, I try to educate myself on, and that's what it takes. But not all my colleagues want to do that, so they don't know all the stuff. And frankly, sometimes even if they knew all the facts, their leadership tells them they have to do one thing or else. Whereas being the minority, if my leader told me to do something and I didn't want to do it, I just wouldn't do it.
Right.
Now most of the time we agree on 98% of stuff, but there are some times that I don't agree with what my colleagues want to do that are Democrats. I vote no, or otherwise, or they vote no and I vote yes on something. So I'm my own person.
I just kind of wanted to, ask, your opinions. I know it wouldn't really suggest a car mechanic to do a complex brain surgery. So to have, it's kind of insulting in a lot of ways to sit back and, I've worked in the cannabis industry for numerous years now, in numerous areas. And no matter what, I've seen so many walks of life come in, and this plant has helped different people and just like I said, provide a better quality of life, including for myself. And then to kind of just hear how, there's times where they don't, take any kind of opinion or advice from people that may have that experience or usage of knowledge, that maybe let's sit in a room and talk like we're doing, and maybe we can kind of give you guys a better idea or route to go as far as legalization. Do you think that, or what? I know you said to have the people reach out to the local representatives and state legislators, but how would it be impactful for them to try to get heard, or at least have some input on laws before they're actually made even rules and regulations for programs?
Well, listen, again, if there are enough people, for instance, if there are 50, 60, 70 people in a certain house district and they have a meeting to talk about marijuana issues and they invite their state legislators and they don't come, that tells them something. And again, if I'm a state legislator and there are 50, 60, 70 people at an event and they invite me, unless it's, it was something that, okay, if it was a Ku Klux Klan, I certainly wouldn't show up for anything, and that's completely different. But if it was my citizens talking about an issue that I was voting on, I would have to go listen to them. And again, no one's gonna, you can't go everywhere just to people that support you.
Right.
You're gonna have people that disagree with you on issues, and you have to have the courage up to show up and say, listen, these are my thoughts on the matter. That's why I disagree with you. And this, you have to have reasons for it. Now, for instance, one of the things that I disagree with a lot of people in my party is ranked choice voting. And I have my reasons for not supporting it.
Right.
And I explain those when I ask the question. And a lot of times people want to hear it, and people kind of get a little too emotional about it. But that's just my thought. And again, I studied the issue long before I was a member of legislature because I did politics for a living.
Right.
But maybe I'm different because I didn't know a lot legislative issue wise because I didn't expect to be elected office anytime soon.
Right.
Now, if someone came to my office and wanted to talk about the benefits of vouchers, I would probably not listen along because I hate vouchers, both my parents being public school teachers, and that's something that I've been educated my entire life that public school, where 90% of students go, should not be losing money to these private schools that are unregulated, that have no testing requirement, all this other stuff that public schools do. And so I'm not in support of vouchers. And if someone came to my office to say, I want to support vouchers, I would clearly say, I can't do that. I don't support them, and thank you for coming in. But there are so many issues out there. So I defend my colleagues a little bit that you can't know everything about everything. It's impossible because there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of issues, and I don't know everything about every issue. Even something I'm an expert on, like, we'll say gaming. I'm the Democratic person that's in charge of all the gaming stuff.
Right.
And I learned something at a conference over the weekend I never heard about before. And so I'm constantly trying to educate myself, and I think my colleagues try to do the same somewhat, but I don't think, I think you have all preconceived notions about marijuana, and that's one of those issues. It's not like utility regulations where everybody's got to learn all the stuff about regulating utilities or something about another complex issue. But when it comes to marijuana, people have their own inherent, thoughts on it from when they were younger or what their parents said. So it's a little bit different, and they really need to listen more to the other side to say, hey, here's what marijuana does, and here's studies, and this is producing jobs in your district, and this and that.
Right.
And that's what people need to talk about, because again, it's one of those issues that people have a preset notion on, and it's tough to change the preset notion. Again, I have things that you could have 100 people tell me that I'm wrong, but because I believed it for so long, it's really tough to change my mind.
And then that's well said. So until, and then maybe, I don't know, just the people alone, or maybe if the people can work with the state or DCC or something to show, hey, here's these stats. Hey, this number of people are getting employed from cannabis. These number of people have become homeowners.
How much tax are being paid and how much go to local areas?
And that was one of my other questions. The taxes, what, are they going to, how do they actually, those local areas that are supposed to get those monies promised?
36%.
Yeah, how?
I think they're getting that money right now. I think they are. Again, I'm not able to find out if we are getting that, if people are getting that money or not. I think they are, but maybe they're not. And I don't know definitively that answer, but they should be getting the 36% of the tax money that's been, because the state's collecting the money right now. I guarantee the state's collecting its money.
Right.
And I don't know if the state's distributing it as they should.
In the right way.
In the right way. And that's, if they're not, I want to know about it, because that's a problem for me.
100%. And I think the voters will want to know too. I appreciate that, aspect and your sharing on that, because that's very important. And then, just kind of, lastly, I just want to wrap it up, and I guess just kind of ask you, is there anything else to the Ohio cannabis community, or, cannabis communities out there that you would like to advise to the people? Someone like myself, I like you said, there's no marketing or awareness, but and there's other people out there too that are trying to use their voice to help spread information, positive information about the plant, and just showing how you can be a normal human being and still function.
Well, listen, it's very critical, because when the legislature comes back in the fall, marijuana is at the top of the list for them to discuss. So they need to reach out to their legislators over the summer and try to convince them that, hey, these are the things that we voted for, and we need to keep these intact. Because otherwise, I know what's going to happen. I have no idea what the House is going to do, and then if it comes back, it was different than the Senate. We have a conference committee, and I try to get stuff in there, but again, I'm worried about stuff. Already, like I said, the social security part's dead, and when that's not going to get back in, because there's nobody on the other side that wants it. But other things like about THC levels and about number of plants and about where and who you can smoke it with. Right now, the Senate bill, mandatory, if you're a passenger in a car smoking or vaping, it's 3 days in jail, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
I mean, you can, it's ludicrous.
Yeah,
And to only be able to smoke inside your house or at an amphitheater that allows smoking. So, as I told people, as I said in committee, Columbus police are not going to, I have been told this, they are not going to stop someone walking down High Street smoking a joint. They're just not going to do it. But again, if you were driving in a small community, walking down the street smoking a joint, the police can arrest you, and because you're African American, they can use that as a first excuse to lock you up, to do more. But again, so it's going to be selective enforcement and different enforcement across the state, which is inherently unfair. Because like I said, police in Cleveland and Columbus, Cincinnati, if you're during ComFest, if you're sitting in Goodell Park smoking a joint, not one officer in the planet is going to stop you from doing that. But if you were smoking a joint in a park in Lima or in Mercer County or in Monroe County, especially if you're not white, they're going to come and you get in trouble for that, and that's bad. And then again, also the expungement. Excuse me, people that were incarcerated for offenses that are now legal under what was passed. We wanted automatic expungement at no cost to the person trying to be expunged. The Republican bill allows the prosecutor to intervene and say, no, I don't want that to happen, and charges people money in order to get expunged. That's not fair. That's not right. And that's why no Democrat's going to vote for what the Senate passed. So again, selective enforcement meant to help others and hurt others. They need to go out and express their concern over this, and maybe people listen.
Nah, that's selective enforcement is huge and a big deal, like you said. That's already kind of where we got to where we are in the cannabis industry now, in some aspects of people getting wrongfully harassed and criminalized. But I appreciate you and your time again. And before I wrap this up, I did want you hit one more topic. You keep bringing up great topics. So I personally, and I've actually testified about this down at the State House. I personally was a resident and actually you're one of your areas, Grandview, and paid my rent, peaceful resident.
Oh, not smoking in a rented house.
Yeah, I don't own the house, but like
I think that again, the bill allows the landowner, if someone owns something, to prohibit their renter from smoking marijuana in the house. That is also bullshit. I'm sorry, bullshit. And also, the Senate version prohibits you from, if you grow your own plants and your best friend grows them and you want to try each other's out, that's illegal under the Senate bill. You can't exchange plants. And again, I don't come up with this crap, but it's not right. And these are the things that most people don't even know. Even the people who are following the bill don't know all this stuff's in the bill.
Right.
And you need to educate your community, read the bill, and find out all the bad stuff that's in
the bill.
In SB 56, the one we passed, and realize how bad it is and how much you lose your rights just because you want to smoke a joint.
That's crazy. And that's so sad because I got a lot of good friends in the cannabis community, but shout out to some of my geneticists or breeder friends, and also a good friend of mine, Johnny Cannabis. He does this event. It's like a cannabis farmers market where people involved in all different areas of the cannabis community, whatever their skill or trade or whatever, he creates an opportunity for them to come and share just a gathering of things and just network and information. Stuff like that should be legally allowed and accepted, not like what do you call it?
I wouldn't let anybody find out about it because they'll come and read it. Right now, it would be illegal.
Jeez, that's a no. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, and I don't want to end on that bad note as far as it's not your point, but that's just an importance of how we need to really come together as a cannabis community and be informed, be educated, and let's continue to help each other know what's right and what we need to do to help fight the good fight, because this plant has changed so many walks of lives, and I continue to see it do it. I see it help myself. I see it bring economics to communities, and I definitely it's a natural plant that grows with or without us. So I think we got to give just credit to God and itself, the cannabis plant itself, for helping to try to help heal the nation and being more of an exit drug than a gateway drug. So thank you again for your time to supporting the state of Ohio and Mr. State Senator Bill DeMora. We definitely appreciate you and your efforts in the community. And if people want to get a hold of you, if you got any,
Well, you go to, if you go to the website, look up, Ohio Senate, and then go to the website, they can find my number and email.
Yep.
Same with any other legislators in the houses. Just look up Ohio House.
Yep.
And they'll find, they'll find your state legislator, and you type in your address, and it comes up with legislators. So I encourage people to do that.
Yep.
Again, I don't need 300 people to call me. I'm already on your side.
Yeah.
So call people that aren't on your side.
Exactly.
I love to hear from people, but again, calling me, telling me to support what the people voted on issue 2, I'm already there.
Yeah.
You don't need a lot of me because you already got me.
We got one of the biggest supporters right here, y'all. So let's get the rest out there. But thank you again.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Here.
Thanks for having a good one.
Time well spent.